Hi, my name is Colonel Kobe Short, Commander of the Pittsburgh District. Thank you for inviting me to speak at the 2021 Innovation Summit. It is my pleasure to introduce you to some of the innovations my district has. The City of Pittsburgh has transformed itself from a city of steel to a center for high-tech innovation. Likewise, the Pittsburgh District embodies the same innovative spirit of our city and the United States Army Corps of Engineers. As we update and maintain our infrastructure, we are implementing emerging technologies such as virtual reality, advanced 3D modeling with animation, and 3D printing. Virtual reality headsets are not just flashy toys for gamers. VR allows us to view full-scale models throughout all stages of the design process. VR provides a unique visual walkthrough, transporting a user into a facility without ever stepping foot on site. For example, our divers and the repair fleet use VR to assist in planning complex underwater maintenance and repairs. We use the latest implementation of 3D modeling known as Building Information Model, or BIM. BIM allows us to implement different building materials into the design. Steel, wood, rock, concrete, each has different properties and behaves differently in the real world. We use 3D animation to predict the impact and longevity of our infrastructure years into the future. We can visualize river conditions to better predict risks of all types, which helps us manage costs, minimize impacts, improve quality, and save time. Finally, 3D printing capabilities give our engineering teams an additional tool throughout the design process. We have created models for the Chicago District, Huntington District, the Inland Navigation Design Center, and our own Montgomery Locks on the Upper Ohio River. We can produce either solid pieces of a single color material or more complicated models with moving parts painted into various colors, or create designs that can separate into smaller parts to allow for increased shared understanding. Virtual reality, 3D modeling, 3D animation, and 3D printing are just a small part of the Pittsburgh District's innovation efforts. We are innovating today so our infrastructure can continue to serve the American people tomorrow, 50 years from now, and beyond.
The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers plays an integral role for the nation and warfighter in its civil works and military missions, as well as R&D in support of other federal agencies and international stakeholders. The innovative work and research performed today continues to drive the Corps towards the realm of the possible. The Corps' civil works mission area still faces ongoing and new challenges, but unique ideas are starting to yield groundbreaking solutions. Among those challenges, understanding and predicting post-wildfire flood risk.
So following wildfires, we typically have issues that are not commonly publicized as the actual fire itself. In a lot of cases, our work typically begins after the fire ends, specifically for flood risk management. After fires, you lose a lot of your vegetation, you lose a lot of your inception canopy, your soils tend to disaggregate and change because of the heat. That, coupled with high-intensity rainfall events, lead to destructive and life-threatening debris flows and debris floods, which is what we're trying to tackle here at Coastal Hydraulics Lab. Typically, we're looking at destructive debris flows that are 1,000 times larger than pre-fire floods, and so a lot of times we find that the infrastructure is woefully inadequate. So what we're going to try to do is provide the modeling metrics so that they can improve that infrastructure to absorb those post-wildfire floods really more effectively and efficiently.
Building on the success of the Corps' Engineering with Nature initiative, the goal is to expand implementation by broadening and deepening engagement and collaboration with colleagues across mission areas and organizations.
USACE is a learning organization, so we're realizing that in the context of engineering with nature by drawing from our past experiences, combining that with the development of new technology, new engineering, and new science that is the purview of R&D, so that in the future that we can deliver the added value that can come from engineering with nature in important ways for our program within USACE.
The Corps remains focused on the repair and sustainment of aging infrastructure and its many challenges, including anticipating and mitigating alkali silica reaction in concrete.
There's two main areas that we're focused on for ASR, or what a lot of people think of as concrete growth or concrete cancer. And one of those is really trying to figure out how are we going to deal with this in our existing infrastructure. We have a lot of infrastructure that was built before we even knew that these mechanisms existed, and we can't afford to replace them. Dealing with ASR, for example, in Chickamauga Lock has cost almost $250 million. But construction of a new lock is billions of dollars. And the same for airfields. We have to maintain our power projection platforms like airfields and mitigate the risks associated with concrete deterioration. So we're developing methods through our R&D programs to be able to look at those existing infrastructure assets where we know we have this damage, pull samples, and these are examples of a couple of those. These are actually samples we pull from the project, bring back to the laboratory, and we do a series of experiments to accelerate damage in a way that we can extrapolate to the performance in the field. So tandem with that, we're developing models. So we run these experiments, calibrate models, and so now the owners, operators, maintainers of those facilities can predict, when do I need to do a repair? Do I even need to do a repair? And they can build that into their planning and budgeting cycle for either maintaining that asset or replacing that asset.
Whether it's supporting the warfighter or responding to a natural disaster, more is being asked of the Corps as the demand for rapid and agile engineering solutions rise. As commanders strive to maintain constant battle space awareness, some will have to make decisions at times based purely on dated imagery.
If we can shift the paradigm from appearance to behavior of targets or structures of interest, we can revolutionize the way that we actually access and utilize our battlefield. In order to do so, we have to shift from visual perception to more holistic measures of understanding behaviors of these targets. For example, the way a bridge behaves is very different than it necessarily appears, but behavior is what dictates soundness, strength, and performance. But luckily, a bridge behaves in a way that allows it to be monitored through acoustic means, specifically infrasound. Infrasound is subaudible acoustics. Anything below 20 hertz is considered to be infrasound. Human beings cannot perceive it directly, even though sometimes we can feel the vibrations in our chest, like bass in a car. The particularly interesting thing about infrasound is because of the low frequencies, it propagates tens to hundreds to thousands of kilometers away from your source or target of interest without losing any of the characteristics that make that source unique. This allows the soldier to rapidly digest pictorial information or very small texturing alerts that are of critical importance at that moment. In this way, we've allowed soldiers to actually take the information in a real-time fashion and change the way that they do battle.
While it's a military engineering effort, this technology has potential use for post-event prioritization of critical infrastructure following disaster. As the world around us continues to embrace smart technologies, so is the Army as it looks to transform where soldiers train and live. Researchers at the Corps' Engineer Research and Development Center are driving that transformation. The ERDIC's installation core competency covers a wide range of expertise from cantonment to contingency, including all aspects of installation infrastructure and operations, range sustainment management, and contingency basing and energy. Building upon these capabilities, the ERDIC is developing the Virtual Testbed for Installation Mission Effectiveness, or VTIME, which is a key component of the Army Smart Installation Pilot Initiative. VTIME researchers are tackling the challenge of taking raw data from multiple systems, which may describe similar information but in different ways, and look for ways to combine these systems that were not originally built to be integrated.
Data analytics is not new to ERDIC. We've been doing it for years and years and years. The developments in artificial intelligence and machine learning are foundational for us tackling these problems. And so in doing this, we've partnered with our HPC program, looking at investments in machines, networks, and storage that can run the AI and run the machine learning so we can go out and tackle these problems. AI and machine learning is transformational and really key to our data analytics and how we tackle problems in the future.
Solutions may call for re-examining the untapped potential of existing technologies.
But what we're trying to do here is something a little bit different in terms of determining the feasibility of how we conduct an operation. and applying the information that we gain from the environmentals that we're able to place inside this particular ship handler.
You know, it's not just that I keep a Craftmaster safe or that I keep them from dumping a bunch of equipment in the ocean, but that they can execute a mission successfully and efficiently and do the things that our country needs done to protect us.
And what we're ultimately trying to do is react to our cooperative strategy for 21st century sea power, our maritime strategy, which is what's our ability to respond to crisis. Our greatest difficulty we have when we're responding to crisis is that in a lot of these areas, these are denied areas or areas where we have not typically operated consistently. Again, the idea is to show what's in the realm of the possible, given certain conditions, define your box correctly, and then again, you provide people the ability to assess the risk for whatever that mission is that you're trying to accomplish.
Sometimes the Corps is not afforded the luxury of time to solve a problem, as was the case for Hurricane Michael.
One of the challenges we have during a disaster is the ability to assess quickly the amount of damage in an area. The drone team can really help us with that. Drone technology allows us to capture images and digital elevation model quite fast without too much effort. Those two combined can create a 3D model of the area. You can definitely see, without climbing on the structure, you can see the air underneath the roof, and you can definitely see this is not a professional job. Second of all, it can allow you to do measurements on structures that are not regular, or sometimes it's hard to calculate. It also allows us to QA the work after it has been done.
Back on the ground, researchers are paving the way for rapid repair of asphalt.
The materials that we have right now to go out and do the expedient repairs, sometimes at remote places around the globe, they don't work. They simply can't handle the loads that are imparted from our fighter aircraft. When we put ours to the test, we found that it could survive hundreds of passes of those aircraft. So typically, if we're going to do hot mix asphalt repairs that you would do on some of your more permanent facilities, we'd get that material from an operating batch plant. Well, those things aren't often available. So the material that we developed is coming in small containerized packages. So we'll take our material out to the field, we place it into the induction heating system, simply press start. 5 minutes later, we've got a small quantity of asphalt over 300 degrees, same that we would get directly from a plant. And it's going to offer us that high quality repair. We can simply dump it in a hole and use it as we would any other asphalt type repair materials. It's durable, and we can design it to meet any types of traffic that we need to withstand.
IHMA technology also has potential use in federal, state, and local government repair projects. Looking ahead, it's innovation that will take the Corps to the realm of the possible, infusing the DNA of every team member to revolutionize the delivery of solutions to our nation's toughest challenges.
I'm Major General Richard Heitkamp, Deputy Commanding General of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Innovation is the lifeblood of any thriving organization, and that's certainly the case for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. For nearly 250 years, USACE has been called upon to solve many of our nation's most difficult civil works and military challenges. We've mapped the vast western frontier, executed new methods to control the mighty Mississippi River, and constructed Army and Air Force installations in remote regions of the globe. Doing so has required us to consistently step outside the box, question established schools of thought, and define new methods. Today's challenges require innovation more than ever. The nation looks to USACE to execute a diverse array of civil works, military, environmental, and emergency operations missions. This demands cutting-edge practices that balance such competing demands as economic security, environmental stewardship, public safety, among others. Examples of this innovative spirit are clear across our districts and divisions. Working in collaboration with USACE research organizations, such as the Engineer Research and Development Center, together we are enabling safer military medical facilities and smarter and more resilient installations. We're mitigating invasive and non-native species and using new processes that will work with Mother Nature to efficiently and sustainably deliver economic, environmental, and social benefits. We have launched the 7 Mile Island Innovation Laboratory to improve dredging and marsh restoration, and have implemented virtual reality and 3D models into our building design process. We're even using robots with high-tech cameras to more safely inspect aging dams around the country. Our nation faces new threats from stronger hurricanes, more frequent floods, and more dynamic wildfires. But USACE is helping our nation meet these threats through stronger, more resilient infrastructure, more accurate modeling, more sustainable practices, and countless other innovations. As the world continues to change, our challenges grow increasingly more complex. If we're going to solve them, we must be committed to a spirit of innovation and collaboration with academia and industry. Events like the Innovation Summit are exactly what we need to spark new ideas that will elevate us beyond how we've always operated and launch the solutions our nation demands. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the 2021 U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Innovation Summit. My name is Anna Jordan, and I'm a mechanical engineer at the U.S. Army Engineer Research and Development Center's Geotechnical and Structures Laboratory. I'm excited to be kicking off this year's festivities as today's MC and to welcome our guests who are joining our live stream from around the world. We have a stimulating agenda of speakers lined up over the next 5 days, from leaders and subject matter experts across the Corps of Engineers to leading thinkers from academia and partner entities such as NASA, Amazon, Caterpillar, Microsoft, and IBM, among many others. I'm confident that each of you will find topics that interest you and that the discussions that take place this week will spur countless innovations that will enable us all to solve the greatest challenges facing our nation today and tomorrow. This is the second USACE Innovation Summit, and we're eager to build on the broad success of the inaugural 2019 event, which inspired many ideas and launched new partnerships that continue to have an impact today. Who could have imagined just 2 years ago that our next gathering would take place virtually in the midst of a global pandemic? Since that time, previous unfamiliar terms like social distancing, vaccine cards, KN95 mask, and maximum telework have unexpectedly become part of our everyday vocabulary. And yet, our ability to continue to execute our mission and even to hold this event despite restrictions on large in-person gatherings is just another example of the innovative spirit and can-do attitude of the Corps of Engineers. This year's event is focused on innovation to impact, leading from the future. You'll hear much more about this theme over the coming days, as our diverse panel of speakers explore the vital role innovation must play as we work together to solve today's problems, sets, and tomorrow's challenges. We have more than 1,800 people registered for this year's event, including USACE team members and individuals representing companies and universities from across the globe, and we wish a warm welcome to each of you. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has a long history of providing innovative solutions to our great nation, starting during the Revolutionary War in 1775. USACE has built coastal fortifications, mapped the vast western frontier, and established navigation channels dating back to our nation's earliest days. It has developed innovative methods to manage the mighty Mississippi River, maintained a vast network of water resource infrastructure, such as locks and dams, and served as a leading force in efforts to sustain clean water and healthy ecosystems. Today, the Corps of Engineers is discovering ways to harness the engineering power of Mother Nature to enable smarter and more resilient military installations and to incorporate virtual reality into its building design process. USACE continues to balance such competing demands as economic security, environmental stewardship, social well-being, and public safety. To meet this mission, we must continually find new and cutting-edge ways to deliver the project on time, on board, and of exceptional quality. That is why this Innovation Summit is such an important event to us, and why we are so excited about the new partnerships and innovations that will begin to emerge in the coming days. Before we get started with our agenda, I want to talk you through some general housekeeping notes. The platform you're using to view this summit puts a wealth of information at your fingertips. You can view the full event agenda and make connections with other attendees, as well as visit virtual booths, tours, and posters. You will receive announcements via the site and through your registered email accounts. This will allow us to alert you to various opportunities over the next week. The gamification feature allows you to earn points for completing various challenges that will be added throughout the summit, so be sure to check that site regularly. Each time you complete a challenge, you'll receive a code to enter and to earn points as you compete against other summit attendees. It's a fun way to earn bragging rights, but more importantly, the feature is a way to help you better network with other summit guests. This morning's code is Game On. Also, we welcome your feedback. At the end of each day, you will receive a request to complete a short feedback form. We appreciate your time in filling it out so that we can make this event better in the future. You can use the chat feature to ask questions to our speakers during any panel session, as well as during the afternoon concurrent sessions each day. You can also visit the official Innovated Summit website at www.usaceinnovationsummit.org. There you will find an agenda, speaker biographies, and video testimonials from various USACE leaders about the importance of innovation. That is also where individuals can register for the summit. Registration will remain open throughout the summit, so please spread the word to your colleagues that it's not too late to register and they can drop in and join us at any time during the week. We have a very ambiguous schedule throughout today. In just a few minutes, you will hear opening remarks from Lieutenant General Scott A. Spellmon, the 55th Chief of Engineers and Commanding General of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. General Spellmon will be followed by keynote addresses by Dr. Dara O'Rourke, Senior Physical Science at Amazon, and Eric Rayners, Program Manager for Automation and Autonomy at Caterpillar. Each afternoon this week, we will have concurrent sessions organized around the 4 topics that General Spellmon has elevated as his priorities: revolutionize, readiness, people, and partnerships. See your agenda for more details on each session. Thank you again for joining us. We recognize that robust innovation in USACE depends on strong partnerships with industry, academia, other federal agencies, and DoD, and we look forward to growing these relationships over the week. Let's work together to lead from the future. And now, we have a few special videos we want to show you about some of the cutting-edge innovations taking place across the Corps of Engineers.
good morning, good evening, depending where you're dialing in from. Welcome everyone to the 2021 USACE Innovation Summit. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with each of you. And I appreciate the opportunity to provide just a few opening remarks as we set conditions for the week. First, I want to thank everyone who played a part, large or small, in setting up this event, especially all the time and effort that went into the videos that, to me, really illustrate how we are applying innovation in the Army Corps of Engineers. I think it's no secret this event is important to me. It's important to all of us. If you look at the times that we are in, record workload for our military programs, our civil works program, all the programs across the Corps, record historic levels of investment that the nation is applying into its infrastructure. The Corps is playing a big part. And then we have a series of challenges. Some of you have heard me say this before. Our nation has some significant challenges where today we don't have a good construction solution for. So that's why innovation is important. I think, as we said earlier in the opening, it supports all four of our priorities, whether it's people, readiness, partnerships, or revolutionize. And it certainly helps us achieve our vision, which is engineering solutions for our nation's toughest challenges. And what I would like to do today, just to talk a little about where my mind is on the topic of innovation, I would like just to tell a brief story. You saw a lot of great stories of innovation in the videos, but the reason I like the story I'm about to tell you is because I didn't give the district or the region any additional money. I didn't give them any additional people. We just know we needed a solution. We needed it rather quickly. And it was the great minds in the Army Corps of Engineers that came up with some ideas. And I like to call this the blue roof story. And unless you've been down in Louisiana for the past couple of years with Colonel Zach Miller and his great ESF-3 team, you might not have heard this. So let me just walk you through the blue roof story. Again, there were many examples out there. I just like to use this one. If you don't know, the Corps of Engineers, we work for FEMA in times of natural disasters, right? And under the National Response Framework, we are responsible for what's known as Emergency Support Function Number 3. That's Public Works and Engineering. And then we are often asked to go out into communities to do things like temporary emergency power or temporary roofing, which I'll talk more here about in a minute, infrastructure assessment, temporary housing, or debris removal. And historically, what we've done on temporary roofing after a storm is we will collect applications from the public, people that feel that they need to have a roof, temporary roof placed on their house that allows them to stay in their homes and not fill up hotel rooms while they're working through their insurance process. So we'll receive an application from homeowners, and we call that a right of entry. And we'll collect these rights of entry either through over the telephone. We'll collect them face-to-face where we have walk-up centers, and there's even internet sites where people can go to our portal and apply. The homeowner fills out a form. We collect up these forms, and at the end of the day, we have another team that starts to sift through all these, and then we have to go out and actually inspect the home, right? And so we load up a truck with a couple of people, a tape measure, and a ladder, and we start climbing on roofs to get all the measurements and everything that we need to fill out yet another form that will be used to inform a performance work statement or a scope of work that we will hand off eventually to a contractor, which is another stack of forms. And then the contractor will go out home by home and applying the blue roofs, right? So that the folks can stay in there. And as I just described, you can see that is a very industrial age process. It's very laborious. It takes a lot of time. And the Army Corps of Engineers, we came under a lot of well-founded scrutiny, particularly in 2017. For those of you who remember the historic hurricane season we had that year with Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, Maria, and Nate. We had to come up with a better way of doing this. And so my guidance to the region at the time was very simple. Let's figure this out. As I told you before, I didn't give them any more money. I didn't give them any more people. We were just after some other ideas. And they did. The team found another way to go about this. So if you've had the opportunity to watch Colonel Zach Miller, as I mentioned, in the ESF-3 team down last year following Hurricane Laura, and certainly this year during Hurricane Ida, we've taken a very different approach. using innovation to streamline this process. So let me briefly describe what we do today. Colonel Miller and his team will use an imagery service now. We have very good models that tell us where these storm paths will go. We'll use an imagery service to fly the neighborhoods that we believe the storm will impact. We do that pre-storm. After the storm passes, we'll fly those neighborhoods again and get detailed imagery of what those roofs, what those neighborhoods look like after the storm. And then with that service, we're able to geo-reference all of this imagery. We can get it down to a street address. So now when we receive a right of entry or an application from a homeowner, we don't have to send people out in trucks with lidars and tape measures anymore. We simply geo-reference that home. We can take measurements just on the imagery, and we can fill out all of those forms that we need to put our contractors to work without even having to step foot in those neighborhoods. In fact, the people that are doing the measurements and filling out those forms and looking at the homes pre and post storm are displaced. They are back in Omaha district, or they're back in St. Louis district, actually collecting that data and then moving it to the contractors. What's been the effect? If you look at where we were in 2017, Harvey, Irma, Marie, and Nate, we have a production curve for our blue roof crews. We give them 5 days to mobilize. Then on day 1 of construction, we expect them to get 1 blue roof in place. And then on day 10, we expect them to be up around 200 roofs today. I will tell you that this innovative technique that the team put together, they are doubling their production. And you can just look at the numbers there. In Hurricane Laura last year, we emplaced about 10,000 blue roofs in the region of St. Charles, Louisiana. And you can see where we are today, 32,000 roofs in place. We're going to go up to 34,000. That has to be a new record for the Corps. But again, this is a very oversimplistic idea of innovation, but somebody had this idea to put tools together that we already had to help us get after improved production. And to me, this is what this week is all about, innovation. And let me just go again through priorities. Certainly this supports people, right? It improves our safety. We were not sending hundreds of folks from home districts out into the impact zone, again, filling up hotel rooms, having them climb all over roofs. No, they're doing this from their desks back at the home station. So it certainly supports people. Readiness. This is all about finishing more quality projects on time and within budget and doing it safely. Partnerships. I can't tell you how valuable this program has been to the governor of Louisiana, certainly his staff, all of the parish presidents in the affected area down in Louisiana who have really come to trust the Corps in developing this. And then certainly it supports this whole idea of revolutionize, right, which is making meaningful change, fundamental change in the way we execute our mission. So for Dr. Pittman, I know you're out there. Dr. Pittman, they say every good military presentation has a dead general quote in it. So I have one of those today, Dr. Pittman. If you're out there, if you'd write this one down, I'm not going to use a dead general quote, Sergeant Major, but I am going to quote a dead admiral. So just for context, this occurred back in World War II. Admiral King was the chief of naval operations, and he was speaking about General Marshall, who was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff at the time. And they were speaking on the topic of logistics. And what Admiral King shared was, and I quote, "I don't know what the hell this logistics is that General Marshall keeps talking about, but I want some of it." So Dr. Pittman, my modern version of this quote goes like this, and you can quote me coming from the 55th Chief of Engineers. "I don't know all I should about this innovation Dr. Pittman keeps talking about, but I know we sure need more of it." So in all seriousness, let's, we have a lot going on this front, and we're laying the foundation for more. Last week at the AUSA conference, Dr. Pittman and I had the opportunity to roll out the first ever USACE research and development strategy, and we're looking forward to finalizing this here in the next couple of weeks, and we want to launch this out to the field right during our first quarter executive governance meeting. And here on the side, you can see the top 10 R&D priorities that we've established and our way ahead for each. Now, of course, the strategy covers much more than this, but these are the top 10 things that we're going to go after initially. We've already begun socializing this with our new Assistant Secretaries of the Army for both Civil Works and Installations, Energy, and Environment, and enjoying some early support for this. And we're going to use this as our foundation to make the argument to the administration for additional resources that we need in our R&D program, which of course will help us on this topic of innovation. But again, that's not what this week is about. While I may have to go to the Secretary and Assistant Secretaries of the Army and OMB for resources and money, I don't have to go to them for ideas, right? You all have the ideas in your minds, out there in the field, and we just, and that's a big part of this summit. We just have to have the courage to cultivate them and the courage to put all of these on the table where we can put them to use. So again, I'll leave it there. I just want to thank everyone again for joining us this week. As we said earlier, we have an exciting lineup of speakers and events, and I'm looking forward to the next generation of ideas that will allow us to engineer solutions for our nation's toughest challenges. Dr. Pittman, thanks again for the opportunity to join you today. I would like to tell you that Sergeant Major and I are going to stay here and take any opening questions or comments that you may have. I'm just going to ask you to pass all those on to Dr. Pittman, because we are on our way over to the Pentagon for a joint operational engineer board where we have some need for innovation there as well. So thanks again, everyone, and looking forward to a great week.
Thank you, General Spellman. So please stand by and we will continue shortly.